What's going on, everybody? C4 here. Welcome back to the channel. Very happy video that I'm going to make it for you today. It's not, a rebuild or like the episode 60 of the Bucks. I still got a head cold, and actually it's even worse today than it was the last 2 days. We just had a big snowstorm. I think being out in the cold all day did not help it. And I did the Joe Burrow Bengals rebuild yesterday. My voice was shot for the rest of the night. So I still need like another day of recovery at least. So hopefully things go back to normal tomorrow. But I got asked from a couple people on Twitter, am I going to make a video about this? This video is clearly more so for the Eagle fans. But if you've been watching, my Eagles mock offseason, Philly they followed through. Yesterday there was a press conference, like the kind of, clearing out the locker room press conference where we had Howie Roseman, the Eagles GM, Doug Pederson, the Eagles coach, kind of paying the piper, facing the fairly savage Philadelphia media. Talking about the disappointment of the season, and we're talking about coordinators and coaching staff, because that's pretty much like the first stage of retooling and rebuilding for an offseason. And Doug Pederson was like, yeah, and I'm not really sure. He didn't give a roaring review of Jim Schwartz, who interviewed for the head coaching job of the Cleveland Browns, that Jim Schwartz would be back. But he said really, really quickly that wide receiver coach Carson Welch and offensive coordinator Mike Groh would be back. And if you watch my Philadelphia Eagles mock offseason, I said those should be the first two names that get fired. And then in as the news came in about that press conference, I was blowing up on Twitter about how this is stupid, how this is dumb. And then today we woke up and Carson Welch and Mike Groh, in particular, those two names, fired from the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm ecstatic about this. It's clearly, to me, means that the Philadelphia Eagles watched my video. They got some burners. Howie Roseman has some burner accounts on YouTube. They are checking into my video. They're watching my content. I wish they would when it comes to mock draft and talking about the draft, because literally over the last 4 years, I've been hitting home runs for the Philadelphia Eagles, and they haven't been making these picks. So continue it. If you're watching this, Howie, please, I will do it for free. I need no recognition. Maybe shout out my YouTube channel, but I don't need any payment. Let me control your draft board. Please and thank you. You can do a free agency, all those big contracts. Let me control your draft board. I'll bring the Philadelphia Eagles multiple Super Bowls. But at least you listened to the coordinator. So Carson Welch, wide receiver coach. I mean, I have no idea who can come and replace him. It might be an internal hire. Might be, from all these coaching staff change-ups around the league. You look at New York, Washington, Dallas, Cleveland. We might poach one of their wide receiver coaches, but it had to be gone. Like, we saw no development from our wide receivers. Alshon looked like he regressed. Nelson Aguilar definitely regressed. We had zero development in J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, zero development in Mac Hollins, that they kept playing Mac Hollins. No clear vision to call up Greg Ward sooner than later. Greg Ward, honestly, if he had made the roster like he probably should have after that preseason performance, he could have been a guy at 20, 30 catches, 400 yards, 2-3 touchdowns, which is a lot more than most of the wide receivers that played for us this year. So that kind of falls a little bit on the wide receiver coach. You got to develop these guys. You got to have these guys ready, and the drops and all that stuff. It's an easy fire. But Mike Groh, I thought for sure, especially with how Doug Pederson was very, very complimentary of him down this 4-game winning stretch that Philadelphia was able to go on a run against some very bad defenses, keep in mind. But still, with all this smorgasbord of practice squad guys at wide receiver, Philly was finding a way to win. And Doug Pederson in the press conference was complimenting Mike Groh, and I was like, no, they're going to keep him, aren't they? And then we said that in the press conference. I was like, no. This is not how you get better. This is not how you become the team that can win back-to-back NFCs. This is not how you become a Super Bowl contender. This is not how you maximize Carson Wentz by bringing back Mike Groh. And then they fired him, which is phenomenal. Mike Groh had to go. I mean, this is a guy that got fired by his own dad. He was the OC at the University of Virginia. His dad was head coach. Got fired. This is the guy that was responsible for the Rams being butt-ass horrendous on offense during the Jeff Fisher eras. He's the guy that day and night made the Philadelphia Eagles offense look as vanilla and boring as you possibly can in comparison to what Frank Reich did during that Super Bowl year. I mean, you look at Mike Groh. He's a guy with a wide receiver background as an OC. So you would figure, again, the wide receivers would play better. They played worse. You would say that, we'd make we made a trade last year for Golden Tate at the trade deadline to come in and try to save this team. And Mike Groh came out. Yeah, it's kind of tough to get Golden Tate implemented in the offense. What? That is your job. You literally, and it's not even like we all assumed, like, oh man, he's struggling to get Golden Tate. You came out and said that to the national media during a press conference. He should have been fired on the spot right then. That was when I started calling for Mike Groh's head. And then his main responsibility is helping with the game script. Our offense, Mike Groh, is responsible for our offense starting out fast. He's responsible for the offense's execution, especially for like the first 15, 20 plays. These are the plays, they're called the scripted plays, that you practice all week in practice, that you feel really, really good about to get into a hot start against your team. Since Mike Groh has been the OC for the last 2 years, Philly is without a doubt, I don't know how the analytics, I guarantee you, bottom 5 in slowest starting teams, if not worse. They could be the slowest starting team in the NFL. It all comes at halftime when Doug Pederson can make halftime adjustments that they start playing better. So literally, there's no positives. There was 0 positives to Mike Groh being on this offense, and I am ecstatic, absolutely ecstatic that they got rid of him. I was listening to a couple of the different Eagles podcasts around there. They're throwing out a bunch of names that kind of came in line with who I talked about as potential replacements for him in my Eagles mock-off season. We talked about James Urban, the quarterback coach for Baltimore. Clearly, everyone's going to want a piece of that Lamar Jackson success this year. And James Urban spent some time in Philadelphia, I think like 5 or 6 years under Andy Reid, so it's familiar. There's an actual tie there that could make him a realistic hire. We talked about Joe Lombardi, the QB coach potentially from New Orleans. He's been there for a long time. Maybe it's time for him to get out from that Sean Payton coaching tree, which is pretty goddamn prestigious when you're talking about offensive minds, and get promoted. We talked about Kellen Moore, who, I don't know, looks like he might be going back and joining Mike McCarthy's staff there in Dallas. But if he's gone, absolutely bring him in. He was a guy that made Dak Prescott throw for almost 5,000 yards. Hell yeah. Give me some of these new ideas for Philadelphia. We talked about Mike Kafka, the quarterback coach of the Kansas City Chiefs. Even though that's a big jump, he's still a relatively new QB coach. I'd kind of be more so against that than I'd be for it. But I mean, obviously, former Philadelphia Eagle quarterback, Kansas City Chiefs coaching tree pretty much aligns with what Doug Pederson does here. It could make sense. The biggest one, maybe the biggest fish, is Joe Brady, the OC from LSU, kind of responsible, kind of the hot name that's taking all the credit for the success of Joe Burrow, going from a UDFA quarterback to the number 1 overall pick, and LSU going from a solid SEC team to maybe the most dominant offense SEC team of all time. And the big kind of hiccup right now is, like, obviously Joe Burrow, not Joe Burrow, but Ed Orgeron, the head coach of LSU, wants Joe Brady to stay. They'll probably give him a big raise, but there's a big rumor that he might leave to go be the head coach of Mississippi State. And then today, awesomely, I mean, as much as I could like another coaching hire in the SEC because I'm a Gator fan, Mississippi State hired Mike Leach, who's like the best personality, I think, in all of football from a coaching standpoint. So Joe Brady's back to just being an offensive. He's not even like the lead OC at LSU. He's kind of like it's him and some old dude again. If there's going to be a lot of teams kicking the tires on wanting Joe Brady to make the jump from college to the pros. I would love Philadelphia to put their name in that mix. He would be phenomenal to have here. Great new innovative ideas. But it's unlikely. There's going to be a lot of teams that want it, and what it comes down to Philadelphia is you're not calling the plays. Doug Pederson calls the plays. And if you want to be an OC, most people view being an OC as like, yes, it's a promotion for some of these guys, or yes, it's a job if you're unemployed, but you want to use an OC to be potentially a building block, a stepping stone to becoming a head coach. And it's that much harder when you're not calling the plays. Your name is stamped on the offense, but it's still going to be the head coach. You're still working under the head coach. It's just that much more difficult. So I think someone like Joe Brady, who could have very lofty expectations to capitalize on this LSU success, might not want to come to a team where he's not calling plays. So I'm going to throw another name out there. I think it's unrealistic just because of the whole not calling plays. But Jay Gruden, the former head coach of the Washington Redskins, he's a really, really good offensive mind. I think he would be a perfect hire to come back in. But again, because he has that head coaching background, he might only want to go to a place where he can call plays so he can quickly have that turnaround to becoming a head coach yet again. But, I mean, as much as that is true about not calling plays, you also want to go to an offense that you know you're going to be able to have success. In Philadelphia coming here, if we have healthy guys, if we draft well, it's going to be an easy offense to be successful in. It's good, it's not like it's like a double-edged sword. That's the easiest way to say it. You could what's the worst offense in the league? Let's just try it. What is the worst offense in the NFL? Off the top of my head, for simplicity's sake, we use the Washington Redskins. Washington Redskins were not particularly great offensively last year. So would you want to go to Washington where you can call plays, but you have way less to work with, so it's like your success could be mitigated, or go to a team where you might not be able to call the plays, but your name's still attached to an offense that if you help them get good, because they already have the playmakers in place here in Philadelphia, Deshaun Jackson healthy, Carson Wentz, Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert, the offensive line, your path to becoming a head coach, I think it's a balancing effect where it's like, yes, on one hand, you want to call plays, but talent also matters. And especially if the talent's already in place, it could put you that much further ahead of using that OC as a stepping stone to get back to being a head coach. So for me, OC number 1 might be Jay Gruden right now. But we've mentioned a bunch of names. There's a bunch of names that could come and replace him. But we still have the kind of open-ended, not really a raving review of Jim Schwartz that he gave at this closing press conference. And in my mock offseason, which clearly the Philadelphia Eagles watched, I was like, I'm pretty much ready to move on from Jim Schwartz. I said he's a solid offensive coordinator. He's probably fringe top 10, maybe. But it's just the third and longs, the live and die by certain players. I would definitely be open to just changing up. Give me someone new here. I know a lot of people are talking about Wade Phillips, but that means Philly would have to switch back to a 3-4. Do we have the personnel for a 3-4? Not really. And I mean, it really does. I have no idea who can replace him. In my video, I threw out Clemson defensive coordinator Brett Venables, but that's highly unlikely that he leaves Clemson. Highly unlikely that he would leave Clemson. So when you view Jim Schwartz, I mean, obviously if he gets a head coaching job in Cleveland, you're gonna have to replace him anyways. I think that's kind of unlikely. But when you look at Jim Schwartz, honestly, at the end of the day, even though I would like someone, I have no idea who can replace him, and I don't feel comfortable saying I need to fire this guy, at least in my content, without having some names that I think would be a good replacement in Philadelphia. And with Jim Schwartz, it's the devil you know versus the devil you don't. The devil you don't, who knows who comes in here? They could be as bad as Jim Schwartz. It could be worse than Jim Schwartz. At least Jim Schwartz can consistently give you like 4 to 5, maybe not that, but we'll say 3 to 4 games a year that his defense will win for the Philadelphia Eagles. There's probably 2 or 3 games a year his defense will lose for the Philadelphia Eagles, but still he can carry a game or two for sure with his defense. And it's the devil you know in Jim Schwartz. You know what you get. Maybe we draft. Maybe we give him another linebacker. Maybe we give him some better corners. I don't know. But I feel a lot more comfortable trying to replace Mike Groh with a lot of the available offensive minds than I would right now in trying to replace Jim Schwartz. But overall, very, very happy that Mike Groh's gone. Very, very happy that Carson Welch is gone. It's a new era for the Philadelphia Eagles. And I never thought I'd make a video talking about a wide receiver coach and offensive coordinator getting fired. But here we are. So thank you guys for watching. Again, always looking for good ideas of who you might want to see coming to Philadelphia, be it as a wide receiver coach, be it as an offensive coordinator, be it as a defense coordinator. Let me know in the comment section below. But that does it for me here today, guys. Thank you for watching. Until next time, it's C4 saying, oh my God, I made it through this video without coughing and losing my voice. Peace out.